the spot, Rosie, you said earlier on, it's a bit of nerves rather than being cold. We've not seen any hats and gloves out there today, so definitely is nerves potentially from some of these athletes.
Yeah, I reckon so. I think cross-country season is very easy to want to wrap up, and often we see athletes layering their vest with a base layer underneath it, a long sleeve or a t-shirt or arm sleeves perhaps, and we've got one set of arm sleeves there, and that's pretty much it. That's Daniel Horgan deciding to wrap up just a little bit more. But of course, arm sleeves, gloves, things like that, really easy to take off in the race as well. So if you are a little bit chilly, always great to start with them and then ditch them halfway around. Although I'm sure the parents will be praying that they do go back for them if that's the case. But yeah, great conditions it looks like. As you say, Scott, we've had some nice days this week, and hopefully they do become more and more as we do progress into the slightly warmer months. The difference it makes at the track in those evening sessions to have the sun coming down instead of the dark or the rain or the wind is unbelievable. So the hard graft been put in over the winter months will be gratefully replaced with some summer speed relatively soon. And I'm sure the athletes are very much excited for that. It becomes a whole lot more enjoyable and much less of a slog than it is in the winter at points. But there they are, all organised in their holding pen. It won't be long now until those boys do filter into their pens, very eager, and that nervous energy will go from them jumping up and down to trying to hold themselves steady on the line. It is a very anxious few moments when you get called into the pen. There'll be a lot of anticipation, the butterflies in the stomach of these athletes that they'll hopefully be able to use and channel into a strong performance. It is something that you have to learn as an athlete to be able to use those nerves as opposed to be hindered by them. And I'm sure these athletes will be starting to get to grips with how to do that now as we do move in towards the older age groups. They'd have that bit more experience in that area, Scott.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, a lot of these athletes will be training, whether it's just with schools, but down at their clubs as well. And we mentioned the Cross Challenge series. There's the local club races as well. And they'll use all that experience they've garnered in their short athletic careers in this finishing or starting straight, because it's a long way, 240 meters. They will all get stretched out. Those guys in the middle, it's a very intense group to be in. And some of the more experienced athletes will try and get to the front early on so they can just keep out of trouble. And, you know, you train for this, you use those cold winter nights to build the strength to endure these fast starts as they head past the pond. And all those coaches in the background as well, just showing how many athletes are here, and they're doing well so far. Great shot. Just see how it all gets stretched out. It's like a swarm of ants, isn't it? All just meandering across the course. And here they are then at the front at the moment with Finn McLennan from the Perth School wearing number 10. Alongside him, that's Jude Hearn as well from Southend. So these two at the moment more than happy to just get to the front. They're going to do this short lap, so they will head around this initial loop before coming back around again and then extending on their first of 2 long laps.
Yeah, interesting to see that we've not had a breakaway leader in this one just yet. And that pack, it is like a swarm of bees almost, or just, yeah, as they make their way around that first early corner. That's 240-ish meter start, though, is plenty to get their legs burning. And it is important that the athletes do settle into their rhythm as soon as they can, as they now make their way along the hedge line before they go on for their next lap. Short lap completed, and still very, very much together. And these Inter boys potentially looking for more of a race and a pack to take them around the middle section of this course before they begin to string themselves out and properly go head to head in the closing stages.
Lots of cheers as well as they come past parents and coaches and school teachers telling them to keep pushing it and picking up the pace. It makes me smile when I hear that sort of encouragement. Teachers are absolutely great with that, and so important that we keep physical education as an important subject within school. Jude Hearn is near the front of this race in that green vest, around about 5th at the moment. But Finn McLennan at the front, doing well.
Yeah, absolutely looks great to see them all sat together as well. We can always bank on a more exciting race when the early stages do remain packed a little bit more tightly, and we can see there's a big group. We can probably separate that in a couple of different ways, but you've got a slight leader and then a big chase pack, and it always is intriguing to see how that's going to unfold. You've got Michael Phelan there on the right-hand side of the screen. 31, that's Tom Thake, sat in second. He looks very relaxed. Won last year at the English Schools Cross Country Cup in this age group, so he'll be looking to do it again now, top of the age. But he looks very relaxed, very comfortable, allowing just a slight gap to appear as he leads the chase pack through.
Yeah, Tom Thake will have watched his sister win the junior girls in the first race of the afternoon earlier on, both at Silverdale School. And I don't think he'll mind too much that Finn McLennan is at the front here and just edging along the pace, because it takes some of the pressure off him. Rory Keane is near the front as well. That's 2 Silverdale School athletes inside the top 3. You can just see the black strips there. I think they're 2nd and 3rd at the moment. They look to be, certainly to me. And then Finn McLennan happily just leading this one away. It's a good start. This is the quiet section of the course as they go along the road. It is downhill very slightly as well, so good opportunity for the athletes to pick up the pace as well.
Yeah, intriguing to see that gap start to open. Finn McLennan very happy to take on the front running at the moment, and it'll be interesting to see how it does play out. Of course, this is significantly longer than any of the races we've seen yet. We've got over a kilometre difference when you look at what was proposed to us for the Intergirls. So it'll be interesting to see how this does play out. Of course, a slight surprise in the previous race, but just over 4K to be run by these Interboys, and it can be a long way when you are out on your own. So McLennan looking happy to do so at the moment, but Thake won't want to let that gap grow too much more than that. It's enough for McLennan to start feeling a little bit more confident, perhaps. And the confidence and the mindset can be all the difference to carry you through and take that momentum forwards.
Yeah, for sure, and I agree, Rosie. I think the chasers here have a great opportunity to try and close that gap. But I mean, that is a big gap, 50 metres or more. And they're almost just running at a slightly different frequency than McLennan is. I mean, he won the South of England Championships already this year over the slightly further 5 kilometre distance. He was an English School silver medalist 12 last summer, actually. So he has speed over the short distance and the long distance as well. And yeah, they need to try and get their feet moving a bit quicker if they want to try and close down that gap, because at the moment it's going to be very interesting to see where this one pans out.
Yeah, I think so. And it's almost as if McLennan's been maybe a little bit underestimated as he decided to go, and the rest of the pack weren't too panicked about it. And it can be a very sensible move to allow somebody to just take it on and then wind them in gradually. But McLennan, with such talent, such power over both the longer and the shorter distances, it is a bit of a dangerous move to allow that to happen to this extent. So it'll be interesting to see how this race continues to pan out. But at the moment, Finn McLennan looks really relaxed and really strong. He's not pressured at all. He doesn't look like there's too much strain going through in his form. His face is relaxed. He's looking really smooth. And if anything, that gap is still growing, Scott.
Yeah, absolutely. It's getting longer. And I think perhaps the extraordinary thing here is that he was an under 15 last year. So he's a youngster in some regards in this race. But at the moment, he's running with a lot of maturity and somebody that's got more experience. He's only really done one summer of track action. So very talented youngster, just needs to keep on the pace here. And that was a look over his shoulder. Got to do that every now and again. But you've almost got to forget about what's happening behind you and just run to your own standards and run to your own energy levels. He looks very relaxed to me, and that arm carriage, very relaxed. It's screaming somebody that has got a bit more in the tank if he needs to access it. And at the moment, he's looking very good here, Finn McLennan. Just looking
Yeah,
at
he
who
really
is in
is.
second. I think that's Michael Phelan in second there, in that black and white striped vest. So he's going well. What can he do?
Interesting, actually, watching the rest of the field come through that corner. And I have to say, I mean, that gap is actually phenomenal now. But McLennan looks like he's out for almost a tempo run. He, perhaps even more relaxed than that. He doesn't look like he's under any real strain at all, to be honest. He's absolutely just cruising through. And that chase pack now that looks to be about 3 athletes or so really has allowed the gap to grow a little bit too big. And it's interesting to ponder whether or not that was a move to allow him to go off and think they can close him down, or if they just couldn't go with the pace at the early stage that McLennan obviously has in his legs today. But he's making this look so easy.
Yeah, that hairpin bend is a great opportunity for somebody that's in the lead like Finn McLennan to just peer behind, engage how far ahead he is without having to, twist around and have a look over his shoulder. So he will see these 3 athletes are way behind. And I think that's an interesting position to be in. Charlie Nicholson of St Paul's School is in that chasing group of 3 from 2nd to 4th at the moment. And well, if McLennan wanted to down this slope, he could really push the pace, but doesn't need to. And he's on his 2nd long lap here. So he spent practically all of this race out on his own. And he's flying. I can't say much more than that. Absolutely flying at the moment.
Yeah, most definitely. You almost start to run out of comparisons and similes and different analogies that you can use to describe how well McLennan's running here. But he looks like a man enjoying his running. He's enjoying this race. He's confident. He's free-flowing. And he's free of any pressures at the moment as he just navigates his way up that slight incline. We've seen several athletes already today put in a bit of a spurt up there, make a bit of a break, or some athletes try and counter any other moves. And we could see in the background that McLennan was rounding the corner as the others were just starting to come onto the hill. The gap truly is impressive as we near the 11-minute mark of this race now.
Yeah, I really didn't expect to see a breakaway so early on in this race, and one that is just grown and grown. And he's now running around this warm-up area where the spectators are. His stride pattern, for me, hasn't changed one bit. I think that's the really impressive thing. He hasn't looked distressed at all during this race. He knows now he's got just a few hundred meters to go. But for McLennan, who now has Phelan in 2nd in behind him, I mean, he's got almost a 100-meter gap at the moment. Lots of spectators here will start to line the course as he comes towards the finish, and he'll only have 1 turn to go at this point. I mean, this has been a marvellous run. This is absolutely going to be on his highlights reel until he's at least 80 years of age, I suspect. Just as he starts to roll down this hill, Finn McLennan, and we'll eye up the finish here. Look at that margin. Isn't that extraordinary? How often do you see that in these younger age groups? Not very often, I can tell you. Finn McLennan then, of the Perth School, dominant here up in Leeds. He is going to take the Interboys title here in fine fashion. Perhaps the biggest margin we have seen for a very, very long time in this competition. Finn McLennan, the Interboys champion for 2025. A huge margin. And Michael Phelan in the striped vest, we think, is striding away to take second here, and he has done that. And Tom Thake of Silverdale just holding on for third. There is Charlie Nicholson in fourth. They're all coming across the line now. But that margin at the front from that man, exceptional performance. Well, he is one to watch out for. Part of the Cambridge and Coleridge Club. He's used to wearing a white vest. Remember the name, Finn McLennan of the Perth School. Rosie, I mean, we can't say much more about that because it was just simply divine.
Yeah, it absolutely was. Just, yeah, almost left me speechless actually, because we just weren't expecting such a dominant performance so early on from Finn McLennan. I think it was just so impressive. He didn't even look taxed by the end of it. He looked absolutely fine. He's been out for a training run by the look of it, and does really make you wonder what lies ahead for Finn McLennan. He's got huge potential, obviously, and as you say, Scott, that's definitely going to be a win that stays on his CV for a very, very long time. It's an absolutely stunning performance, and the confidence that he must have had in his race plan to go for it and to stick with it, being unable to see the rest of the field for a lot of the time, even with the hairpin turns. The margin that he had, just absolutely phenomenal, and yeah, fantastic achievement.
Yeah, one of the things I like about watching these younger age groups at these cross-country events is that, you know, we'll probably see some of these athletes running next week at the Inter-Counties cross-country and the cross-challenge final, but they often don't come with much of a plan, you know, because they just have to run on feel. And for me, Finn McLennan then just did what he felt. He took it out strongly at the start and just kept going and wasn't phased. And I don't think he would have expected to win that race by such a margin, because he only won by a couple of seconds at the Southerns. And look at that. I mean, 18 seconds deficit for Michael Phelan. Tom Thake in third. A shame for him, because it would have been a great story if he could have taken the win. His sister Jess winning the junior girls race earlier on. That would have been an extraordinary story as well. But he does make the podium. But the man of the moment, Finn McLennan, glorious. We will have an interesting wait to see what happens with the team results, because by my eyes there's 10 different schools on the list there inside the top 10, which makes it very interesting indeed. Unlike some of the other races we've seen, the Inter Girls with 3 athletes from Guildford High inside the top 10. Within that Inter Boys race, much more mixed, so it will take a little longer to try and figure out who potentially has the best score from this race. Only 2 more races to go. Next up, 9 minutes time, the senior girls. They'll be running over a slightly shorter distance than these boys. 1 medium lap and 1 long lap. And a cracking morning, a cracking afternoon so far, should I say. We started around an hour and 20 minutes ago with the junior girls. That was a great win for Jess Thake. The junior boys was then won by Dexter Marshall. The Inter girls being won by Guildford High's Kitty Scott. And then the Inter boys dominated from gun to tape by Finn McLennan. Let's hope we've got a couple more good races to come in the senior category. So let's use this time to take a look at Kitty Scott's race, how she took the win, because it was a great performance from the Guildford High athletes. I think we're going to see Kitty Scott again here.
Finn McLennan was second in the English schools 1500 metres last year for junior boys up at Birmingham. That's that race over.
Then out of the traps, out onto the course. The sun is shining on the breeze. The athlete in the light blue in the middle at the front, pretty much from the first 50 metres, was Kitty Scott.
Yeah, there she is, bang smack in the middle of the screen. And there's obviously a quick start there. We can see them all herring down that first 240 metres or so. But Kitty Scott able to sustain that intensity. And when she did start to break away, there was absolutely no stopping her. And that gap starting to appear as she comes around that hairpin bend. And as soon as she was almost set free from the pack, she really did put her foot down and just gradually grew that gap more and more. It's an absolutely stunning run from Kitty Scott. And just fully really attests to her experience and her previous successes over the cross country. And of course, over the track as well. She's a very talented athlete in lots of different disciplines. But she's really showcasing her cross country strength here today. And the mental strength as well. There was a bit of a mix up in the laps, which I'm sure we'll see in a few moments' time. But to be able to keep her head strong and keep herself moving well, an absolutely phenomenal run. And here she comes down that final straight, absolutely phenomenal. Arms straight above her head, absolutely great. One of the best races we've seen.
So next up, the senior girls. That starts in 6 minutes' time. I think we'll head to the start line very shortly.